The stone is damp beneath your cheek, cold as a dead man's breath. You wake in pitch blackness, no moonlight, no stars, leave the slow drip of water echoing in the silence like a ticking clock with no hands. Your wrists ache. Iron bites your skin. Somewhere, far off, a rat scratches against timber, and beneath it all, the thick, bitter scent of rot, old blood. And hopelessness hangs in the air like incense from a darker faith. This is no dream. You are inside a colonial, dungeon beneath the soil, beneath mercy, beneath history itself, and the door has long since closed. What crime did you commit? Or worse, what story led you here? If this story presses like stone against your chest, or stirs your thoughts like rising smoke, tell me, could you have survived the silence of that first night? Subscribe to walk deeper into the shadows of forgotten history. The sun is blinding. When it strikes your face, you don't remember falling asleep, and yet you wake to its fury white and sharp, a blade pressed behind your eyelids. A voice yells, not a name, not yours, just a command. Hands grip your arms, rough as rope, and you're dragged forward, stumbling into a world you no longer recognize. The sky above is too blue, too open. It feels cruel. The square is full of sound boots, wheels, shouts, chickens flapping. You catch the scent of bread baking somewhere, but it is a distant kindness, drowned beneath the sour stink of bodies and the iron tank of chains. You are not in chains yet, but you will be. You see the iron in the guard's hands. You see it glint in the heat. Someone is shouting, a man with powdered wig and fury in his jaw. The crowd jeers, their faces made of sunburnt skin and suspicion. You blink toward them, but the light scorches. Someone accuses. You don't hear the words, only the shape of them, thief, traitor, blasphemer. You reach for the memory, but your thoughts are a jar knocked from the shelf. Nothing stays. The dungeon waits behind you. Past the wooden post where they hang the guilty, past the stone wall thick with moss and silence. You are pushed toward it, not gently. There is no verdict, no sentence. Just movement, inevitability, descent, and so, with each step, the world grows colder. Stone replaces earth beneath your feet, wet stone, weeping with the breath of something buried. The air changes, becomes heavier, as if soaked in centuries. You pass through a door so narrow your shoulders brush both sides. Beyond it lies a staircase that curls downward like the throat of a beast. No torches, no candles. The only light is what spills behind you, until even that vanishes. The guards say nothing. Only the echo of their boots speaks, like drums behind a funeral march. You try to remember the last word you spoke. Was it defiance, a plea, or nothing at all? You hear a door shut above, then the creak of wood, then silence. You are now below. The world, if this descent stirred something quiet in your chest, a memory, a fear, a question, share it. And if you wish to walk deeper into the dark corners of forgotten history, consider subscribing. Interactive question for the comments. Have you ever felt the light leave, not just from your eyes, but from your world? The cell door does not clang when it shuts. It groans, as if the iron itself is weary from centuries of swallowing hope. You are left in near darkness, save for the sliver of amber leaking from a lantern far down the corridor. Dust floats in it, each mote suspended, like the ghosts of breath not yet taken. You stand in the doorway, unsure where to sit, where to be. The guards are gone. The silence is full. The walls breathe cold, not with drafts, but but with memory. You feel it when you press your palm to the stone. It's slick, not wet, but alive, as though it remembers each person who leaned against it before, shaking, bleeding, waiting. You imagine a boy no older than your brother, gnawing a crust in this same spot. A woman with torn fingernails, scratching tally marks. A preacher whispering psalms into the stone. You do not know how long you will be here. You only know you are. Here now, the cell is narrow, just wide enough to lie down, if you curl. The floor is packed earth, hard and dry in places, damp and sludged in others. You step carefully, uncertain what your feet might find. In the far corner, a bucket. The smell tells its story. You look away, no bed, no blanket, only a pile of straw, crushed into a damp mat, its edges fraying like old parchment. You sit beside it and feel your knees give way with more exhaustion than strength. The cell door remains shut, but you can still see out between its rusted bars. Across the corridor, another cell, empty, or perhaps not. You think you see a shape still breathing, but it does not move. Your mouth is dry. You taste the morning still sweat, fear, the bread you almost ate. You wonder if they will feed you here. You wonder what the rats eat. You close your eyes, but sleep does not come. It lingers just beyond the reach of pain, teasing, taunting. Your mind drifts instead to faces. A woman, sunlit and laughing. A friend from the shipyard. A child waving. But then their mouths open and no sound comes out. You shake the vision away, but it remains, like smoke in the lungs, far above. The day still shines. People trade, bake, sing, and drink in taverns. But that world is now sealed behind 2 doors, 3 guards, and an eternity of stone. You are forgotten, and the forgetting has only just begun. There is no clock in this place, yet you feel the hours, as keenly as the ache in your limbs. Time here does not tick. It drips from the ceiling, from your mind, from the very bones of the walls. And in the pause between each drip, something begins to close inside you, like a fist, like a door. They return for you with clattering keys and boots that speak without kindness. You are not spoken to, not called by name. You are handled, pulled, shoved, placed like an object into the shape they require. You kneel because they force you to, and then you feel it, the weight, the cold, the finality. Iron. It closes around your ankles with a sickening snap, not sharp, not loud, but final, like a lock on memory. Your wrists follow. The cuffs are too tight, not because your limbs are thick, but because the metal was not made for comfort. It was made for compliance. You feel the rust against your skin, not like dirt, but like history flaking, rough, ancient. These chains are not new. They have held other bodies. They have outlived them. One of the guards chuckles, the way a butcher might before slaughter. He says nothing you can understand, only a noise in his throat. Then he leaves, and you are alone again with your breath, your bruises, and the slow realization that your freedom was not taken just yesterday. It was taken long before. This is simply the chapter where you notice. The shackles are joined by a short iron link, designed to prevent escape, but also to humiliate, forcing you to shuffle, to bow, to fold yourself into smaller and smaller shapes. You test them, once, twice, but the iron does not give. It is not a thing that bends. It waits for you to do the bending. You shuffle back to the straw in the corner. Sitting down is now an act of ceremony, awkward, painful, performed with the dignity of a wounded animal. You rest your head against the wall and feel the chill soak into your scalp. You would weep, but tears feel too warm, too human. And this place is colder than grief. Your wrists begin to blister. A slow throb builds with each passing breath. You try to adjust the cuffs, but the rust bites back. Somewhere down the corridor, a cough, then another. You are not alone in this tomb, but the others may as well be shadows. At first, you think your breath is visible. Then you realize it's the wall of fine mist seeping from cracks in the stone. The cold here is not from winter, it is from centuries. The kind that seeps into marrow, that slows the heart, that teaches the body to forget comfort. This chill does not arrive with a storm. It was born in this place, and now it is being born in you. You count the beats of your heart. You name them, just to mark the time. Hope, hunger, silence, silence. Silence, they bring no food. Only water in a dented tin bowl left at the threshold like a gift to a dog. You crawl to it, chains dragging behind you like the tail of some cursed beast. You drink. It tastes of iron, but you are already filled with metal. What harm is won? More drop. You speak aloud for the first time in hours. Your voice startles you. It is rough, cracked, alien. You say your name just to remember it. You say the names of others. Some you loved, some you hated, some you can barely recall. You speak until your voice fades again, absorbed by the stone, by the silence, by the cold metal pressing against your bones. This place does not need a jailer. The chains do the work. The walls do the watching. You begin to understand why madness is not a visitor, here it is the host. Night falls. Or perhaps it does not. There is no sun to track, no candle to burn down, only a deepening blackness. You lie curled on your side, one wrist folded beneath you to ease the sting. But the cuffs press no matter how you shift. They are constant, like breath, like guilt. You do not dream. Dreams require a mind that feels safe enough to leave. You remain awake, waiting, bound, and so the hours stretch, and the metal remains. The scent reaches you before the sound. It slinks through the corridor like a living thing, curling into your nostrils with the slow patience of rot. At first, it's faint, just a sour hint, a bitterness behind the tongue. But as the moments drag, it thickens, rancid, organic, old. You inhale again, cautious, and taste it more clearly. Now, waste. Blood, damp, straw long since surrendered to mildew. The perfume of the forgotten. It clings to the back of your throat like spoiled broth, and you gag. But only once, just enough to know your body still protests. Something shuffles in the dark beyond your cell. You turn toward it, slow and quiet. The chains dragging like breathless whispers across the floor. Your eyes are still adjusting, but shapes begin to form cracks in stone, rusted bars, a low arch of damp brick. Then a glint, gold and fire, flickering down the corridor. A lantern, its light is weak, as though embarrassed to shine in such a place. But it moves deliberately, rhythmically swinging with the gait of a man who's made this walk 1,000 times. You do not need to see his face to know his role. His steps are too slow to be hurried, too sure to be kind. Gaoler. As he passes your cell, his shadow blooms across the wall. You see it grotal, twisted, stretched across stone like a crucifixion. He doesn't look at you. His lantern paints the walls in flickers, claw marks, blood spatters, the bloom of black mold like bruises on old skin. You meet his silence with your own. He stops, 3 cells down. A rattle of keys, a scrape of metal, a low grunt. You hear the clink of a bowl against the floor, a muttered curse, then nothing. A door slams. Footsteps retreat. The light fades, swallowed once more by the corridor's throat. The dark, you realize, is hungrier than he ever will be. Silence returns, but not for long. You hear it soft, broken and rhythmic. A cough, wet and raw. It rasps through the stone like a blade across bone. Not yours. Close. The cell beside, or perhaps the one beyond. You strain to hear. It is the cough of someone who has been down here too long. Someone who no longer coughs to clear their lungs, but to remind themselves they are still alive. You lean forward, testing your chains. They hold, of course they do, but the sound has become a tether, proof of life, of company, of shared damnation. You whisper, though you don't know what to say, a word, a question. Nothing comes back. Only the cough and the wet sound of breath, thick with time. You draw back and rest your head against the stone. It is no warmer than before. The smell deepens, not stronger, deeper, as if it's not just in the air, but within the walls. The past steeped into the mortar like wine into cloth. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind them, you see not your own memories, but others. A man screaming, a child crying out for a mother who never came, a woman laughing, too loud, too long, just before the gag was forced between her teeth. You try to breathe through your mouth, but it doesn't help. The taste is still there. Time crawls again, not forward, but sideways. You feel it shift, like a mold spreading across parchment. Minutes no longer belong to hours. They belong to waiting, to wondering. What did they do, the others? The ones whose scent still clings to the straw, to the chains, to the very air. What sin filled this dungeon? Was it theft, treason, or merely being in the wrong place when the right man needed a scapegoat? And what about you? You try again too. Remember to reach back before the marketplace, before the boots, before the blinding sun. But your thoughts slip like eels through your grasp. Was it an argument, a mistake, a false accusation, or were you guilty? And if so, was it worth this? The coughing resumes, louder now, followed by a moan. No words, just sound. A groan of someone whose pain is no longer fresh. A sound older than the cell itself. You look again at the wall. Not the stones, but the marks on them. Scratches, etched lines, smears, messages, names, warnings. One set looks deliberate. Tallies, 5, 10, 20. Each grouping carved with the care of someone who still believed in counting days. The final set trails off, unfinished. Perhaps they lost count, or hope. Your eyes return to the straw at your feet. It is damp again, or was it ever dry? You shift slightly and feel something crunch beneath it. Not hard, soft, brittle, a beetle. No, bone, small. A bird's, a mouse's. You do not look closer. You lie back slowly, careful of your chains. The shackles have begun to burn now, skin rubbed raw from even the smallest movement. You find a position where they press less. Not comfort, just less pain. The air still smells of the past, and you are becoming part of it. There is no bell to signal the passing of day, no flame to dim into darkness, and yet you feel it, the slow turning of the world above. The sun retreating behind roofs and steeples, leaving the dungeon to sink deeper into its own timeless grave. Night has fallen, not by sight, but by sensation. It begins in your breath. Each exhale is a cloud you cannot see. Each inhale tighter, sharper. The air grows colder, but not crisp like a winter morning. No, it thickens, clings, and crawls. A damp cold, heavy as guilt. You pull your knees to your chest, curling like a root searching for warmth in frozen soil. You listen, at first, only silence. But even silence has its layers. The kind that breathes, and shifts, and trembles just beneath the surface. You wait in it, like a diver just beneath the waves, suspended in soundlessness. Then, a rustle, the scurry of claws, small, fast, determined. A rat, maybe two. They've come with the dark, emboldened by it. You hear them in the straw, sniffing at your waste bucket, at the bowl where you once had water. They are not shy. Hunger has made them bold. And you have no torch, no stone, no boot to kick them away. You whisper a curse, but your voice is too weak to human. They continue their pilgrimage. You try not to move. Movement draws attention. Movement wastes warmth. You close your eyes, even though there is nothing to see, but sleep does not come. Not yet. Your body aches in too many places. The iron at your wrists has begun to chafe deep, a soreness that pulses with each heartbeat. Your spine curves wrong. Against the wall, every muscle screams, not with pain, but with futility. You shift once, slowly, to ease the pressure on your hip. Chains clink softly, and in that small sound, you feel shame for disturbing even the silence, and still, sleep does not come. Instead, you begin to drift not into dreams, but into memory. Faint, blurred, but insistent. A face, your mother's, someone's, anyway. Laughing, holding bread still warm from the oven. The scent of it crisped crust, the yeasty middle floods your senses. Then it vanishes, too fast. Replaced by another face, a man, maybe a friend, maybe not. You remember a game, stones in a circle. Someone cheating, a punch thrown. Knows something before that. A voice saying, run. You open your eyes, but nothing returns except the same wall, the same straw, the same slow, gnawing dark. The coughing starts again closer now. You recognize the pattern, a rough inhale, a stuttering release, the sound of a body breaking from the inside out. But you do not speak. You do not call out. What would you say that you're here to? That you're scared? That your wrists bleed? The cougher wouldn't care. They were once you, and now they are not. A sound behind the wallah drip. One, then again, and again. It begins to mark time in a way nothing else does. You begin to count them. Not to measure time, but to hold it. Still, 32, 33. You miss one. Start again. This becomes your prayer. Your lullaby. Somewhere in the corridor, a voice mutters, garbled, slurred. It might be a name. It might be nonsense. It might be a ghost. You turn your head toward the sound and find yourself whispering a reply. Not words, just breath, just presence. No answer comes. But somehow it helps. You try to remember the stars, their positions, their stories. You recall Orion's belt, the dipper, the cluster your sister said looked like a crown. But down here, the sky is not even a memory. It's a lie, a myth. The ceiling above you is not sky but a weight, a lid, and you, a jar sealed beneath it. You curl tighter. The rats return. One brushes your foot. You do not flinch. You pretend to be stone. Eventually, they scurry elsewhere. You begin to sing in your mind, a hymn, something from church, or from your mother's knee. The words come in pieces, then dissolve. The melody carries longer, lilting through the cold like candlelight, soft, warm, imaginary. You do not move your lips. You fear the sound would shatter the moment. You do not know when your eyes close, but you know when they open, because you are still here, still in chains, still in darkness, still alive. It begins with a sigh, not your own, but close, just beyond. The crumbling mortar to your left, soft, faint, like wind slipping through reeds. You freeze, you listen again, and then it comes. A whisper, ragged at the edges, as if the voice itself has forgotten how to speak. Still breathing. 2 words barely formed, but human. Your throat tightens with the shock of it. Another soul, not a rat, not a ghost, not the echo of your own thoughts, someone alive. You press closer to the wall, cheek to the stone, your breath bouncing back against your face. You answer, yes. There is silence, a long one, so long you begin to think you imagined it. But then another whisper. Good, you do not know his name, not yet. But already the dark feels less wide. The wall between you is thick, but by moisture, gnawed by time. Your voices bleed through it like smoke under a door. You lie on your side, iron biting your wrists, and press your lips to the warmest place in the stone. The sound of Himroth, low, shaped by years in the dust, fills the hollow between you. He tells you his name is Corwin. He says it like a secret, not a greeting. A soldier once, he murmurs, voice gravelled from disuse, before my war ended. And theirs began. You ask him why he's here. He doesn't answer. Instead, he asks how long you've been down. You tell him the truth. You don't know. The sun hasn't visited. The guards give no clues. Time is a broken wheel. He chuckles, but there's no joy in it. Then you're learning, he says. Down here, the hours don't pass. They pile, a pause. Then more, like a spigot, finally loosened. He tells you about counting days by the meals if you're lucky enough to be fed. About licking moisture from the ceiling. About how he once trapped a rat between a tin bowl and the wall and ate it raw, too weak to make a fire. You grimace, but do not interrupt. He's not boasting. He's surviving. He speaks of others too. Names you don't know. A Frenchman who sang through every beating. A preacher who went mad whispering scriptures backward. A girl they never unchained. Some died. Others were simply taken away and never returned. They don't tell you why you're here, he says. Because it's not about justice. It's about forgetting. You ask him what he means. He says, they want the world to lose you, not to punish, but to erase. You lie still for a long while, your body stiff and your thoughts louder than your breath. You think about your name, about your face, about whether anyone outside still remembers them. Then Corwin speaks again. You got a mother? Yes, you whisper. She'll pray for you. You nod before remembering he cannot see it. I think so, then hold on to that. Memory is the only warmth they haven't shackled. A silence falls between you, soft, not empty, like 2 candles flickering beside each other in the dark. Still fragile, still distant, but burning. Corwin teaches you how to listen, not with your ears, but with your breath. He says the guards' boots have patterns, that their anger walks differently than their boredom. He tells you which coughs are from sickness, and which ones mean someone won't wake up. You ask him how long he's been down here. He says, since the governor changed his wig. You laugh. It cracks the corner of your mouth. You taste salt, and blood, and something, older relief. That night, or what you guess might be night. You fall asleep, listening to his voice describe a sunrise. Not as he saw it, but as he remembers it. He describes the way it climbed over the trees near his village, how the mist burned off the river, how it lit the rooftops gold before the church bells rang. His words are uneven, but you see it. Not with your eyes, but with your soul. You sleep curled toward the wall, the iron still cold, but your chest a little warmer. And when you dream of trees swaying in morning light. You dream of bells. When you wake, the stone remains. The chains remain, but you do not feel alone. You hear him before you see him, bootstick, uneven, dragging in places where the man himself cannot be bothered to lift them. The sound of iron keys, heavy and disinterested, clanking like wind chimes made for the condemned. And beneath it all, something else, not fear, not hunger. A different instinct rises in you. Now one older, sharper, dread. The jailer does not speak when he walks. He announces nothing. He moves as if no explanation is needed. You feel it in your chest before the shadow crosses your threshold. That stillness the body feels before the sky breaks. The breath animals take before the ground quakes. Then he's there. A great shape, blurred by the rusted iron bars. His form is built like the dungeon itself, thick, dull, and indifferent. He carries no candle, only a club, stained at the end. He smells of things fermented liquor, sweat, old onions, perhaps even powder and smoke. A smell that clings to the walls after he leaves, like bad dreams. He stops at your cell. You rise, slowly. You don't mean to. It's not a rebellion. It's instinct, the kind of flinch that might once have earned a child a smile, but here only earns scrutiny. The jailer does not speak. He stares. His eyes are pale, almost colorless, set in a face carved from too many years and too few regrets. He unlocks the door. It opens with a creak too familiar to be fearful. You do not ask what he wants. He grabs your chain. The yank sends you stumbling forward. You hit the stone with your knees, your hands barely catching you. Pain flashes up your wrists as the iron bites deeper, and somewhere behind you, you hear him grunt, not with effort, but with the amusement of someone dragging a sack of meal. Across a floor, you are pulled out into the corridor. It is darker here than you remember. The walls seem to sweat, and the torches, if there are any, have long since gone cold. You hear a cough echo down the passage, familiar now. You think of Corwin. You hope he's listening. The jailer drags you to a space not far, just around a corner. It is not a room, not really, just a widening in the passage. Here the walls are marked, not scratched, but stained. Dark patches that tell their own stories. You are not spoken to. You are struck. The first blow comes with the back of his hand, thick and blunt. It's not rage, it's routine, like sweeping a floor or brushing ash from a coat. You do not fall, not yet. He waits a moment, perhaps disappointed. Then again, this time with the club. You fall. Stone meets skin. A tooth loosens. Blood tastes like iron, too much like the cuffs. He leans down, breathing through his nose, and you expect words, accusation, warning, even mockery. But there is only the sound of breath. Slow animal, he steps on your wrist. You do not cry out. You will not. Give him the gift. The beating does not last long. It is not meant to kill. It is meant to mark. Your side throbs. Your back blooms with pain. and one eye will not open properly. But you live. He drags you back. Not gently, never gently. When he throws you back into the cell, you land on your side, coughing blood into the straw. The door slams. The lock clicks. His boots walk away without hurry, and once again you are alone. It takes longer this time to move. Every breath is an exercise in grit. The straw, which once simply itched, now stings, like nettles. Your lip is split. Your shoulder pulses like a drum. But you do not scream. You do not sob. You breathe. And after a while, you whisper toward the wall, "He came." Corwin doesn't answer right away. Then you'll learn his rhythm. There's silence. Then another cough his own. Don't speak when he's near. Don't look him in the eye. He doesn't hate you. That would take effort. He forgets you as he hits you. You ask how long he's done this. Corwin is quiet. Then, long enough that I sometimes dream of thanking him when he stops. You close your eyes. You feel every bone in your body. You feel the metal, too, tighter now, as if the blows shaped your limbs to better fit their prison. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you realize the most dangerous part of it all. You are getting used to it. You wake to the scent of straw and iron and something else. Something dry, dusty, ancient. It fills your nostrils like powdered, stone-like pages crumbling in a forgotten book. Your breath rattles against your bruised ribs as you shift to your knees, your chains trailing behind you like the shadow of some shackled beast. The pain in your side blossoms with the motion, a dull fire that spreads into your shoulder. But you do not cry out. There is no one to hear, or worse, someone who would enjoy the sound. The air has changed. It is heavier now, still as grave dirt. You inhale again. It is faint, but present. Bone. Not just the scent of age, but the presence of it. The memory of bodies long surrendered to time. You begin to dig, not with purpose, not at first, only to move. To distract the mind from bruises and blisters and the gnawing echo of hunger. Your fingers scrape through the straw, finding the earth beneath. Cold, clumpy, moist in places, dry in others, like a poorly kept wound. Then something shifts. It's small, solid. Not stone. You draw it up between your fingers. A shard, pale. You brush it clean, the way one might clean a baby's foot. It is a piece of something once whole. A sliver of rib, perhaps. Or knuckle, too small for certainty. Too smooth to be recent. You keep digging. The straw gives way to more earth, more crumbling soil, more secrets. Another shard, then two, then something larger round, with hollow sockets. You pause. It is a skull, not full. The back has caved in, but it still carries a shape you know too well. Eye sockets, nasal arch, teeth or what's left of them. Yellowed and broken, a jaw unhinged. You stare into it, and it stares back, asking no questions, offering no answers. You do not scream. You place it beside you, as one might place an old friend near a fire. The bones feel light, as if memory has fled them. The silence stretches, then breaks. Found her, didn't you? Corwin's voice, thin through the wall. You flinch, then nod, forgetting, again, he cannot see you. Yes, you whisper. Girl named Elsie, he murmurs. 16, they said she stole a knife from the kitchen. Likely just dropped it. But the magistrate's son fancied her. Her defiance was inconvenient. You glance at the skull. What happened? They put her here. No trial. She cried. For a week, then stopped. One day the crying turned to singing. Then silence. You swallow. Did no one bury her? A pause. In here, he says, the dead get covered, not buried. You return to the hole. Carefully now. You reach deeper and find more fragments. Ribs, a femur, split clean. A few teeth, loose and chipped. You gather them slowly, one by one, placing them together in a pile against the far wall. A crude cairn, built not from stone, but memory. You whisper a name you never knew. Elsie, then you bow your head. No prayers, only presence. The cell feels different now, not just because of what you found, but because of what you understand. This place does not forget. It absorbs. It waits. It hides what the world discards. And sometimes, it reveals it again when you are most in need of remembering what could become of you. You lie down beside the bones, careful not to touch them. The chains shift with your motion, and the metal brushes against one of the teeth. It clicks softly, as if chewing air. You do not sleep right away. You listen, the cough from the next cell, the dripping above. The rats, silent tonight. You speak into the stone. Corwin, H.M. Did she die alone? He doesn't answer right. Away, then, they all do. You close your eyes, not to dream, but to rest the weight behind your eyelids. And beside you, the bones say nothing at all. It begins as a scent, not from within, but from above, a freshness you've long forgotten, like linen left to dry in. A meadow, or the sharp sting of green shoots breaking through spring earth. You lift your head slowly. The straw crackles beneath you, damp from breath and sorrow. The air smells different, cleaner, quieter. Then you hear it. One drop, then another, soft as the beat of a mouse's heart. You glance upward. The stone ceiling glistens faintly in the darkness, and from a crack just above the far wall, a single bead of water gathers and falls clear, pure, uncorrupted by the mold that lives in the walls. Rain, it must be raining above, somewhere in a world of roofs and thatched eaves, of carriages and shop fronts. The sky is weeping, and a drop of that grief has found its way to you. You crawl toward it, slowly, with the reverence of a monk approaching a relic. Each chain link drags behind you like the tail of a penitent beast. You reach the wall, stretch your neck, open your mouth beneath the crack. The first drop lands on your lip, cold as forgiveness. You press your mouth to the stone, tasting the mineral sweetness of water that has not passed through mold or rats or iron bowls. Just sky, just time, just gravity and memory floods you. You remember a field, your feet bare, mud squelching between toes, your arms spread, eyes closed, mouth open, laughing into the rain. Someone beside you, was it your sister, a friend? You can't remember her face, only the way she turned her palms upward to catch. The drops you remember, a river, swollen in spring, water lapping at a dock, a boy yourself, holding a stick like a sword, battling the current. You remember the sound of rain on a roof, while you slept. You remember not being here. The crack above offers only so much. The drip is slow, but you wait, patiently, each drop another coin. In a well of hope, the cold seeps into your teeth, but you endure it. Your tongue laps the stone, your throat swallowing carefully, reverently. Corwin's voice stirs behind the wall. You feel it. You nod, then remember again, unseen. Yes, you whisper, rain. He chuckles a dry, hollow sound, like leaves crushed underfoot. That crack saved me once, he says. Years back, maybe more. Fever had me near mad. That water pulled. me back. You glance at the crack again. It doesn't look like salvation, but then again, neither did you once. I dream about it sometimes, Corwin adds. The rain, I hear it in my sleep, even when it's dry above, like the sky refuses to let me go. You lean against the wall, letting the drops strike your face. You close your eyes and imagine yourself not in chains, but beneath a tree. The branches above tremble with the storm. You're soaked to the bone, but smiling. You smell wet bark, turned earth. You hear wind sighing through leaves. The memory is so strong you almost forget where you are almost, but then your chains shift, and the echo reminds you. You are still here, still buried, still waiting, and yet, for the first time since waking, in this tomb, you do not feel entirely dead, because the sky has not forgotten you, because the rain still finds you, because water still runs through stone like hope, through silence. You press your forehead to the wall, just below the crack, and let the cool drops strike the crown of your skull. You speak not to Corwin, not to the rats, not even to yourself, but to the water. Thank you, the drop answers, falling into your mouth like a whispered blessing. And somewhere, deep within, something stirs. Not joy, not yet, but the memory of it. The song comes first. You are lying with your cheek pressed to damp straw, one arm curled beneath you in a feeble attempt to ease the pain of the cuffs. When you hear it, faint, fragile, not quite melody more, the memory of one, a hum low and slow, broken in places, stitched together by breath and will alone. You lift your head. It does not come from Corwin's cell. His voice is too rough, too hoarse to craft anything so soft. No, this comes from beyond, down the corridor, where the light never reaches and the walls seem to sag under the weight of what they've seen. You crawl to the bars, press your ear to the cold iron, and listen. The sound is closer now. It weaves through the stones like mist, a lullaby. Not in words you understand, perhaps not words at all. Only the rhythm is familiar, rising and falling, tender and mournful, like a cradle rocked by unseen hands. You wait. You do not call out. You do not interrupt. You only listen. The song ends. Silence falls like dust. Then, a voice. I used to sing that to babies, she says, soft as straw, before their mothers bled out. You startle. Her voice is dry, cracked, but unmistakably human. Woman, old, perhaps, or only made old by this place. I'm in cell 3, she says. I don't know your name. You give it. It sounds strange in your mouth now, like a word in a language you've forgotten how to speak. She doesn't repeat it, only says, I was a midwife. You imagine her behind her wall, knees drawn, hands clasped, mouth bleeding from cracked lips, eyes closed as she hums to the ghosts of children who never drew breath. How long have you been here? You ask. A long time, she replies. Long enough to forget why. Long enough to remember every face I ever held in my hands. You let that linger between you. Some silences deserve space. Corwin speaks from his cell. Her name's Bridget. He says, she came here when the world was younger. Bridget chuckles, though it's more a cough than a laugh. They don't like women who talk, she murmurs. They like them even less when they don't scream. You feel your throat tighten. Did they hurt you? A pause. They did what they do, she answers. But it wasn't the worst of it. What was? The forgetting. She says it like a prayer or a curse. You close your eyes. You picture her in cell 3, rocking in place, humming in 2. The damp, Her hair once thick, now matted. Her hands once skilled, now trembling. You imagine her singing not for herself, but for the other souls in this place, for Corwin, for you, for Elsie's bones beneath your straw. Why do you still sing, you ask? Another pause, to keep my hands steady, she says. Even if there's nothing left to hold. You don't speak again for a long time. Instead, you press your back to the wall, letting her voice carry you. She hums again, this time softer, slower. The tune winds through the corridor like a ribbon of moonlight in a cave. It carries the weight of thousands of stories, none of them written down. You whisper, "Thank you." You don't know if she hears. When the guards walk past later, they say nothing. But they look toward her cell. One of them spits, the other chuckles. But they do not open her door. They do not enter. Even monsters have fears. You drift asleep beside the iron bars, your chains warm from your breath. And though your body still aches, your hunger still gnaws, and the cold still creeps beneath your skin. You do not feel alone, because somewhere in the dark, a woman sings, not to be heard, not to be saved, but to remember she was once someone who brought life into the world, and not just left it behind in chains. They tell you your trial is scheduled. A guard, faceless behind the bars, voice dry as old parchment, spits the words through the iron like an afterthought. Tomorrow, trial. Then gone, swallowed by boots and shadows. You rise slowly, joints stiff from cold and confinement. Your breath catching in your throat. Tomorrow, a word that once meant promise, now hangs in the air like a question no one intends to answer. You wait for more details, explanations, even sarcasm, but none come. You tell Corwin. He laughs, bitter and low. They've told me that 9 times. The first I believed, the second I prayed. By the 4th, I just counted the cracks in the wall. Bridget says nothing. You lie back against the stone, your heart beating faster now, not with hope, but uncertainty. What will they ask? What will you say? What truth do they think you owe? Sleep comes in shards that night. You drift, only to be dragged back by the clink of your own chain, or the echo of Bridget's coughing lullabies. You dream of wood panels, benches, powdered wigs, above blank faces. You stand before them, mouth dry, wrists bound. When you try to speak, no sound comes. The judge leans forward, lips curled, and whispers, "We already decided." You wake. Before dawn, you think it's dawn. Time is only a guess here. You wash your face with the last of the rainwater dripped from the crack above. It's gone mostly dry now. The memory of it lingers on your skin. You wait. The door does not open. No boots, no guard, no command. You wait. The hours pile like stones, each one heavier than the last. Your stomach cramps, your breath shortens, your wrists are raw. Still, you wait. You count your heartbeats. You try to remember prayers. You whisper your name again and again, like it might protect you. Still, nothing. You whisper toward Corwin. Did they forget? No, he replies after a moment. This is the trial. You blink. What? They told you it was tomorrow. You waited, you hoped, you feared, you broke. That's what they want. That's the game. A long silence. Passes. They're not measuring your crime, he says. They're measuring your silence. You feel your mouth dry. How long? As long as it takes, Corwin murmurs, until your voice forgets how to answer. You turn to the wall. Press your head against the stone and close your eyes. Somewhere, water drips again. Not rain, just the old leak, renewed. Bridget hums faintly. The same song as before. It doesn't reach you as clearly today. Or maybe you're listening differently now. You picture the courtroom again, but this time it is empty. Just you and silence. No judge, no jury. Just your own voice echoing off the walls, trying to be heard, fading like smoke. The verdict comes not as words, but as quiet. They do not intend to convict you. They intend to erase you. Even guilt requires attention, but silence true. Silence is a forgetting. And that is what this place was made for. The guards do not return that night. No verdict, no sentence. Only sleep that arrives like dust, quiet, grey and unwanted. You close your eyes. You dream of a quill hovering over parchment, its ink drying mid-air, a sentence never written, a voice never called, a tomorrow that never came. The heat begins in your spine, not the kind that warms, but the kind that consumes slowly, cruelly, like fire licking at the edge of a letter never meant to be read. You wake drenched in sweat, your clothes clinging to your skin like wilted leaves. The cold of the dungeon still hangs in the air, but inside you something else burns. Your breath is quick, shallow, your thoughts blurred. You try to rise, but your limbs betray you. The iron on your wrists now feels heavier, fused to your bones. You collapse back into the straw, heart pounding. The shadows above you swirling like smoke in a windless room. Fever, it has come without warning. A silent invader carried on rat fur, on rusted chains, on breath shared with the forgotten. You hear voices, familiar ones, but they echo strangely, warped by the fire behind your eyes. Corwin, don't fight it. Let it burn through. Then come back. Bridget, keep breathing. One breath, then another. Don't count them, just survive them. Then silence, then other voices, ones that should not be here. You see a red coat, tall and gleaming, boots polished like mirrors, a musket slung across his shoulder. He is marching in place inside your cell. Behind him, a ship rises from the stone, sails unfolding into the darkness, windless yet billowing. The mast bears a noose instead of a flag. You turn your head. In the corner, your sister sits no older than 6, her face clean and full of worry. She holds out a cup of water, but when you reach for it, your hand passes through her like smoke. Your father appears next. You can't recall if he ever wore a beard, or if you've simply imagined him that way. He speaks a language you do not recognize, but his eyes say, "Forgive me." Then, laughter, loud, mocking, bouncing from the walls like thrown stones. A judge's laugh, a merchant's, your own. You press your fingers into the straw to anchor yourself, but the ground shifts beneath you, turning to sand. It pours away. You fall through it. Darkness, silence, then dash light. A warmth on your face, not fever, but sun, real sun. You're in a field, or perhaps a market, filled with scent and sound and sky. You run, chains gone, the world wide. You smell apples, fresh bread. You laugh, you reach for someone, a girl. A friend, a hand you almost remember, and she turns to you. It is Bridget, younger, smiling. Whole, she hums her lullaby, and the sky cracks open like an egg, golden yolk spilling down. Then the ground gives way again. You fall. You land hard, back in the cell, back in the dark. The fever remains, but the dream begins to cool. You open your eyes to the flicker of lantern light outside your cell. A guard, a shadow. The world is real again, but your head still swims. Voice returns. You back. You try to speak, but your throat is sand. He waits. Drink, he says. There's a bowl by the bars. They left it. You crawl, dizzy, every motion a war. The bowl is warm to the touch, the water barely a mouthful, but it tastes like mercy. You drink, you sit back, shivering now. The fever has begun to break, but not completely. You speak to the dark. I saw my sister. Corwin replies, softly. They all come when it's bad. You nod, though he cannot see, and the ship, a gallows dream. It's common, you lie back down. The straw beneath you is soaked with your sweat. Your body is weak, but the worst has passed. You close your eyes again. The images return but dimmer, flickering like old candlelight. You know the difference now between dream and memory, between hallucination and hope, and even as the fever clings to your bones like smoke after fire, you hold on to something stronger, the sound of Bridget's song, the taste of water, the feel of earth that did not swallow you. Not yet, you are awake, though your body wishes otherwise. The fever has passed, but it left you hollow, like a house whose fire has gone out. Your limbs feel distant, as though they belong to someone else, someone thinner, slower, half-formed. But your mind is clear now. Your thoughts are no longer wrapped in fog. Only silence wraps you now, heavy and whole, and into that silence a voice arrives. Do you know why I'm here? Corwin's whisper seeps through the wall. You roll onto your side, drawing closer, letting his words curl around your ribs like warmth. Not really, you rasp. He exhales, long and deliberate. Most don't. That's the point. They don't want your story to be told, just buried. You close your eyes, letting his voice become your lantern. It was in the north, he says. A port town, little wind-bitten, nothing to write. Letters about, but it had fire in its belly. A tax came down in salt, of all things. Salt. People couldn't even keep their food through winter. You imagine it as he speaks. Smoke-laced cottages, frozen barrels, men scraping at boats with cracked hands. A town where salt meant life. I stood with them, Corwin says. 50 men, a few women, 2, a boy with a drum. We marched to the governor's house and threw our papers in his fire. Not much, a gesture. He pauses. You can hear the dry creak of his chain shifting, but that's all it took. They called it sedition, labeled us traitors, said we threatened the crown. Some were hung, others sent across the sea in irons. I got the dungeon. You imagine him now, not as a voice, but as a man weathered, wiry, standing in the cold outside a grand hall, raising his hand in protest. Not a soldier, a witness. Do you regret it, you ask, after a while? No, he says. I regret surviving it. No one remembers the others. They remember the fire, not the fingers that lit it. You let that sink in. Beneath you, the earth feels heavier now, like it holds their names, still those men and women. The boy with the drum, frozen in time like bones beneath a battlefield. You ever fight? Corwin asks, do you think back? A quarrel at the dock. A shove outside a tavern. But nothing like that. Nothing so large. Nothing worth remembering. No, you say then remember this, he murmurs. Even silence can be rebellion in a place made for forgetting. You nod, even though no one sees it. You rest your head against the wall, feeling the echo of his words vibrate through the stone. Bridget hums again, a softer song tonight, like wind across a field of wheat. Her voice joins Corwin's story, threading through it like a seam. You still remember their names? You ask. Most of them, he replies. They come back in dreams. Sometimes I forget their faces, but I remember how they died. Tell me one, you say. He hesitates, then Mathers, blacksmith, tall, quiet. He carried a woman on his back for 3 miles when her feet bled. Never asked for thanks. At the end, they made him watch her hang before they took him. Didn't flinch. You whisper the name aloud. Mathers, say it again tomorrow, Corwin says. Say it until someone remembers. The torchlight never comes tonight. The guards stay away. Perhaps they've grown tired. Perhaps they think you've stopped mattering. You don't mind, because in the dark, you light candles with names. Mathers, Elsie, the boy with the drum. You etch them into your mind, as if carving them into stone. You are learning what this place is not a prison, a ledger, and tonight. You begin to write. Your stomach is no longer empty. It is a fist, now tight closed, trembling. Not a void, but a presence. Hunger has become a tenant in your body, not a visitor. It no longer growls. It waits, watches, weaves its fingers into your breath, your thoughts, your bones. You have not been fed in 2 days, maybe 3, maybe more. Time has collapsed again into a slow drip from the ceiling, counted not in hours, but in swallows of spit and twitches in the gut. You lie curled in the straw, mouth dry, belly clenching, limbs cold and slack. You no longer expect footsteps. You no longer ask for bread. Even the rats avoid you now. You try to remember the last taste of food. Was it salted fish? A crust of bread? The vague sweetness of carrot or turnip? You aren't sure. The memory is cloudy. Your tongue searches your teeth for crumbs long since dissolved. You lick your lips and they crack. Fresh blood blooming like ink across dry parchment. Corwin says nothing today. Bridget's voice is silent too. It is one of those days. You try to sleep, but hunger doesn't let you. It pokes and pulls, whispering reminders of what the world above once offered. You dream while waking. In one moment, your mother hands you a pear, its skin golden and soft. You bite into it, feel the juice trickle down your chin. But your jaw moves against nothing. Your eyes open, and there is only the stone, the straw, the echo of a taste that never truly returned. You crawl to the corner, to the old bowl they've not bothered to refill. You lick the inside. It tastes of metal and mildew. But still, you linger, hoping. You find a strip of old leather in the straw wents, a shoe, or a strap, or something else long forgotten. You chew it slowly, like bark. It tastes of rot, but it gives your mouth something to do. Your jaw aches from the pressure, but you welcome the pain. It reminds you you're still here. You whisper toward the wall. Corwin silence, then, still breathing, barely. Good means you're not dead yet. You manage a grim smile. They've forgotten us. They haven't forgotten. They're watching, waiting, to see what breaks first. You close your eyes. What did you eat once? He replies. My shoe. Another time, I caught a rat. Smashed it with a chain. Raw, you shudder. But not at the act, at the envy. Bridget speaks suddenly, her voice brittle. Chew straw, she says. It fools the mouth for a time. I used to give it to babies, when there was no milk left. You do, a stalk, tough and bitter, grinds between your teeth. It scratches your tongue but holds your mind, if only for a moment. You chew slowly, deliberately, like ritual. like remembrance. Hunger teaches you things. It shows you how to count every heartbeat, how to treasure the memory of a crust, how to listen for footsteps, not out of fear, but with hope that they might bring something, even a moldy scrap, left by mistake. It teaches you what matters and what doesn't. You no longer dream of feasts. You dream of apples gone soft with time, of onions pulled from dirt, of the warmth of broth in a wooden bowl. You begin to plan, not grand escapes, not rebellions, but tiny things. If they bring food tomorrow, you will save half, even a crumb. You will chew slowly. You will pretend it is enough, because hunger is not just a wound. It is a teacher, and it has taught you how to survive when there is nothing left but breath and memory. She does not sing that night. Bridget's voice, so constant, so steady through sickness and silence, does not rise in lullaby. It is absence that wakes you, not sound. You lie motionless, ears stretched into the dark like roots, searching for water, but nothing comes. Not a cough, not a breath, not even a whisper. You call to her once, quietly nothing, twice, still nothing. Corwin hears it too. Bridget. He rasps through the wall. The quiet thickens, and then something you did not expect. A key turning in a lock. Not yours, hers, boots. A grunt, the scrape of metal on stone. Then a door swinging wide. You hear one of them curse sharp, guttural, not at her, but at the air itself. Then something heavy shifts, like fabric soaked through, a shape dragged. Across earth, no use now, someone mutters. You crawl to your bars and press your face against them, straining to see. But it's too dark. Only sound remains. The door slams. Footsteps retreat. Bridget is gone. Not removed, not punished, not freed, gone. The weight of it settles on your chest. She had hummed to keep her hands steady, and now her hands are still. You press your forehead to the bars and let the cold seep into you. A quiet grief, no sobs, just the knowledge that something warm has gone out. Then a glint, faint, faint as morning starlight. You blink, squinting, through tears you didn't realize had formed. Something lies on the ground, near where her door stood. Not light but something catching what little of it remains. Metal.A, shape.small, irregular, a key. You freeze, not imagination, not hope, real, you. Whisper toward Corwin, urgency in your voice, for the first time in days. Something's there. On the floor, outside her cell. He answers with silence. Then, where? By the wall. Between her cell and the corridor. A pause. Give me a moment. You wait. Minutes pass. Or hours. You cannot tell then. A sound. Small. Scraping. Skittering rat. Corwin murmurs. You frown. What? I fed him once. Twice. He comes when I whisper now. You hear the faintest rustle of straw. A chain rattle. Then the tiny claws against stone. You do not see it, but you imagine the scene. The rat slipping out beneath Corwin's door. Paws quick and sure. Nose twitching. Something tied to its back. No too risky. Perhaps he guides it. Coaxes it. You hold your breath. Then a shuffle outside your own cell. Tiny, fast, a metallic scrape, the key. You press your hand through the bars. Stretch just enough. It touches your fingers. You grip it. Pull it in. It's warm from the rat's body, laced in filth. Small, worn, real. Corwin, you whisper, heart pounding. I have it. He does not reply right away. When he does, it is with quiet certainty. Then wait. Wait for the storm. You nod, but in your chest something stirs. Not escape. Not yet, but possibility. You lie back, the key clutched against your skin, hidden beneath your shirt like a relic. The iron shackles still bind your limbs. But now, something else rests with you. A shard of power, a door no longer fully closed, and, for the first time since you woke in this place, the future is more than silence. It is choice. Rain is coming. You can smell it, the thick scent of it rolling through the cracks like breath from an open mouth. The dungeon tightens in response, stone groaning softly as moisture returns to its veins. Somewhere above, clouds churn like boiling cloth. You sit with the key hidden beneath your shirt, its edge pressing into your ribs. It has not moved, neither have you. Corwin has a plan. He whispers it slowly, syllable by syllable, like scripture being passed down from prophet to prisoner. There is a garden, older man with a crooked spine and a limp in his left leg. He comes late, after the younger ones have gone to drink and gamble. He drinks too, but not for joy. He drinks because he forgets what he's guarding, and in forgetting, he grows careless. We don't bribe him with coin, Corwin says. He doesn't want coin, then what pain? You pause yours, mine's. Old, Corwin mutters. He wants new. Your skin goes cold. Mine, silence. Then, he'll come tonight. I'll start it. You just follow. You want to argue. You want to protest. But the key at your side silences you. The taste of escape is bitter. Iron dash, laced time passes. The storm breaks. First thunder, low and distant. Then closer, like drums in a valley. The air becomes heavy. A guard's footsteps echo down the corridor. Slower than the others. Limping. Dragging, he stops at Corwin's cell. A clink of the lock, a grunt, then a hiss of breath sharp, startled. You hear the scuffle, then a voice, old, cracked, bastard, Corwin. Coughs. It's just wine, old man. Don't spill it. You hear a bottle, a cork pulled, liquid poured into something metal, a cup, then silence. I want something, Corwin says. A pause. You always want something, not for me. The old man laughs, but it is dry and bitter. Nothing's free. Pain, then. A longer silence, then boots move again. Toward your cell. You stand before the bars, hands trembling. You do not look up. You do not show defiance. Just weariness. The man appears. His beard is grey and patchy. His eyes sunk deep into hollows lined by sleeplessness. He smells of sweat. An old fire. He stares at you through the bars. Corwin speaks, low and calm. One strike, one truth. The guard eyes you, then spits. Name, you blink. Say your name, you do. He nods once, then draws a knife. Not fast, not theatrical. Just business. He slides it between the bars and slices your shoulder. The blade bites clean, a whisper of fire across your skin. You gasp, not from pain, but shock. Blood follows, thick and warm, trailing down your chest like ink from a broken quill. You do not flinch. He nods again. The cup is raised. Another truth, he says. Why are you here? Corwin calls out. You answer, not the legal truth. The real one, a moment of anger, a debt unpaid, a name shouted too loudly, a shove in the wrong alley. You say it, all. The guard drinks, wipes his mouth. He turns back to Corwin. That's one. Corwin's voice is gravel now, and the door. The guard hesitates, then grunts. There's a wall, past the old waste shaft. Bricked up years ago. Rot's eaten through half. In the rain, it softens. Corwin nods. When? Soon. Then the guard leaves. Silence falls again. Heavier this time. You sit, the cut still bleeding slowly. The pain is sharp, but clean. Focused, you press a handful of straw against it, grimacing. Corwin whispers, "You did well." You say nothing. You lie back, heart pounding. The key still presses into your ribs. The wound throbs. But you are closer now. Closer than you've ever been. You think of Bridget. You think of Elsie's bones. And you whisper into the dark, "I'm not dying here." The dungeon awakens with the sky. It begins with thunder deep, rolling, ancient. Not the crack of violence, but the long, guttural growl of a world rearranging its breath. The stones seem to inhale with it, drawing in the storm-like lungs readying to scream. Then comes the rain. You hear it before you feel it, soft at first, like fingers tapping at the cracks above. Then harder, heavier. The dungeon absorbs it hungrily. The way a dry mouth drinks wine. You taste it in the air damp, electric, wild dot. You sit up, your cut has crusted over. A thin line of pain blooming across your chest, still tender. The key presses against your side, tucked in cloth, waiting like a silent oath. The time has come. You feel it not in the walls, but in your bones. Corwin speaks. Now, just one word. The guards are restless. You hear them moving, above shouting, scrambling. The storm is fierce. You hear water flooding the upper stairwell, a river where there was once stone. One curses about the waste shaft, another yells for help. Their fear is delicious. Corwin laughs softly. They're distracted. You reach for the key. It slips into your palm like fate. Cold, smooth, flecked with dried mud and rust. Your hands tremble. You crouch beside the manacle at your left wrist and slide the key into the lock. It doesn't fit. Your heart stutters. Again. Turn, gentle, then firm. A click, so small, so loud, the cuff opens like a flower in reverse. Your hand falls free. You gasp. The second shackle follows. Then your ankles. One by one, the iron dies away, retreating like tide from shore. You are unchained. For the first time since waking in this stone tomb, you move without metal. You kneel on the floor, body trembling. Every muscle aches, but not with weakness, with readiness. Corwin whispers, "Don't rush. Listen." You do. The guards are still. Shouting, you hear with splintering. Water flooding down from above. The old waste shaft, blocked for years, has burst open like a rotted wound. The corridor outside your cell sloshes with runoff. Dirty water streams beneath the bars. You rise. The cell door remains locked, but the key as you reach through. The bars, stretching your arm, your shoulder screaming in protest. The lock is just within reach. You feel the metal teeth enter the hole. One turn, then another. The door groans. You are free, not out, but unbound. You step into the corridor. The cold water splashes up your legs, soaking your clothes. It smells of earth, of rot, of waste. But it tastes like escape. You turn toward Corwin's cell. He's there, standing, pale and thin, eyes gleaming through the bars. You whisper, "Your turn." "No," he says. You freeze. "I can't crawl anymore," he murmurs. "My legs, they don't hold. I'd only slow you. You've survived all this." I survived so you could leave. You shake your head. That's not, don't waste it. Slides something through the bars. A scrap of cloth. Inside, it names dozens. Scrawled in charcoal, blood, dirt. A list of the dead, or the forgotten. Carry them, he says. That's all I ask. You nod, swallowing the lump in your throat. You move on, past Bridget's cell. The door still open. Her space empty, cold. You bow your head as you pass, and the storm outside groans louder, as if mourning her too. At the end of the corridor, the waste shaft yawns. Wide stone collapsed, bricks melted by time and rain. A hole in the wall where the dead were once dumped. It stinks of centuries. You take a breath, then you crawl in behind you. Corwin speaks one last time. Run when you reach the light. Don't stop, and remember names matter. You turn, I'll remember yours. You slip into the dark, and behind you, the storm howls. You crawl on your hands and knees. The shaft is narrow, barely wider than your shoulders. The stone presses in on every side, cold and slick with slime. Your fingers sink into muck with each movement. Beneath your knees, the ground is not earth, it is not straw. It is something older, something wrong. You do not look down, you breathe. Through your mouth, but it doesn't help. The air is thick, choked with the stench of rot, of waste, of death. The shaft once served as a passage for corpses, those deemed unworthy of burial, tossed like rubbish into the pit below. The scent of them still lingers. Not sharp, not fresh but settled, ancient, permanent. You do not speak. There is no space for words here, only motion. The ceiling presses close above. In places, you must turn your head sideways, cheek scraping against stone, jaw grinding against mortar. Your wrists burn where the shackles once sat, skin torn and raw. Your knees are numb, your elbows bruised, but you do not stop. You cannot. The darkness is complete. No torch, no flame, no moonlight. You crawl forward blind, 1 inch at a time, each movement an act of will. Time ceases to exist. There is no before, no after, only this tunnel, this suffocation, this motion towards something unknown, then something soft beneath your palm. You freeze, your hand sinks into it, not soil, not cloth. You force yourself to reach again, bone, a ribcage, collapsed into itself, wrapped in remnants of a tunic, now rotted to threads. You push past it, carefully, respectfully. You feel the skull. Brush your ankle as you pass. You are not the first, and you tell yourself, you will not be the last. You crawl on. The tunnel dips lower. Water sloshes around your hands now, thick with muck. It sucks at your palms, pulling you downward. The smell sharpens sweet and sour, metallic. You gag, you cough, but you keep moving. Your shoulder strikes something, a beam. Know a root, grown through the wall, reaching like a hand. You use it to pull yourself forward. 1 inch, then 2. A breeze, faint. You freeze again. Wait, feel it, brush your skin. Cool, gentle, real. Air, not the recycled breath of stone and mildew. This air is different, tainted, yes, but moving. It tastes of algae, of mud, of sky. You crawl faster now, reckless. Your elbows scrape, your knees bruise, but you don't care. You press onward, heart pounding. The tunnel begins to widen. The ceiling rises. The muck deepens into water. You feel it at your thighs now, soaking your tattered clothes. You slide forward, feet first, guided by the promise of motion. Then suddenly open space. You tumble out of the shaft and into a basin of black water, waist deep, cold enough to seize your lungs. You gasp. The echo rings through the chamber. You are standing now, barely. Your legs shake, but the tunnel is behind you. You made it. You look around. This chamber is old, forgotten by all but time. Moss clings to the walls. The roof arches high above, where faint cracks in the stone let in threads of rainwater, glimmering like silver against the dark. The air moves here, not fast, but enough. A single wooden gate sits at the far end, half rotted, hanging from rusted hinges. You wade toward it. Each step is a prayer. Behind you, the shaft yawns like a mouth, and you know it would swallow you again if it could. You reach the gate. Your hands shake as you pull it open. The wood groans but does not resist. Beyond it, more stone, another passage, but this one leads downward. You hesitate, then step through. The gate closes behind you with a sound, like a sigh. You are beneath the dungeon still, but you are moving, and forward, you remind yourself, is the only direction that still matters. You descend in darkness. The passage curls downward, like a serpent's spine, the air thickening with every step. The stone walls sweat, weeping centuries of decay, and your bare feet slap through puddles laced with filth. The water rises with you ankle, then calf, then to the knees. It's chill biting into your flesh with every inch. Your limbs ache from the crawl, your lungs still sore from breathing filth, but you move forward, always forward. Then a sound, a hush, distant and wide. Not silence, but its opposite. Water moving in great volume. A current, a river. Your steps quicken. The corridor opens at last, not into freedom, but into a void. A cavern, vast and black, where the ceiling vanishes above, like smoke into the sky. Before you, a river stretches wide, churning through the underworld like a forgotten vein. Rain filters in through cracks in the rock, and each droplet echoes like a bell. You step to the edge. The current rushes past in silence and sound, carrying leaves, broken boards, and something darker. You see the remnants of barrels, a shattered crate, half a boot, detritus of the surface world, funneled down into this hidden vein. You hesitate, then dash voices behind you, distant, muted, but real guards. You cannot go back. You press your hand to your chest, feel the names wrapped in the cloth Corwin gave you. You grip them like talismans, and then you leap. The cold devours you. The river is a mouth, wide and wild. It pulls you down instantly, wraps around your limbs, yanks at your breath. Your body tumbles through silt and shadow. Your lungs clench. Your ribs scream. You fight your way to the surface and break through, gasping. Rain strikes your face as you spin in the current, the stone walls blurring past in the periphery. You try to swim, not to ward escape you. Do not know where that is, but simply to stay above. Your arms are weak. The current is not. You slam against a beam and old support from the ruined dungeon and cling to it, coughing water, eyes burning. You float, chest heaving, ribs bruised. The cavern narrows. The current speeds. You drift with it, limp and breathless, like a corpse refusing to sink. Then dash light, not. Sunlight, not yet, but moonlight, faint, broken, bleeding through a grate above the river's mouth. The water churns toward it like a pilgrim reaching for a shrine. You brace yourself. The current pulls you through. You're forced down again. Your shoulder slams into stone. You twist, kick, fight. The water roars in your ears. You break the surface once more, gasping. Then again, gone beneath. Time loses meaning. When you finally crash into something soft, mud, moss, maybe both, are barely aware of it. You cling to the bank like a child to a mother's skirt, your fingers clawing at wet earth. You drag yourself up, inch by inch, until the river is behind you. You collapse. Mud coats your arms, your chest, your face. You are shaking. You are soaked. You are bleeding, but you are no longer inside. You roll onto your back. Above you, stars, real ones, not imagined, not remembered. The sky is open again, wide and terrible and beautiful. You breathe it in, the scent of trees, of damp, bark, of growing things. You weep, you do not sob. You weep in silence, eyes wide, tears falling sideways, into the mud. The dungeon is behind you, but its voice still echoes in your bones. You do not feel free, not yet, but you are no longer a secret. You are no longer a shadow. You are a body beneath the sky, alive. You walk barefoot through the woods. Every step is a story of pain, the sting of stones, the chill of wet grass, the brittle crack of twigs beneath your weight. Your legs move like they've forgotten how, shaking, clumsy, reborn. The rain has lessened, but its memory clings to the world. Trees glisten, leaves drip, the earth squelches. Beneath your soles, your clothes hang in rags, soaked, heavy, clinging like sorrow. And yet you walk, not toward anything, just away. Away from stone, from silence, from screams muffled by iron bars. Away from the sound of your own breath bouncing off walls too narrow for hope. The moon drips through branches above, lighting your path in patches, silver pools scattered through shadow. You see your hands in that light, thin, scraped, ghost-like. Your wrists bear the red bracelets of old chains, still raw, still pulsing. You carry no weapon, no food, only a namur, onand, a cloth pressed to your chest. The names of the dead folded inside like embers in ash dot, then dash, light dot, not moonlight. A lantern, dot low, steady, flickering through trees ahead, like the eye of something ancient and kind. You freeze. Your breath halts. Lanterns mean people, and people mean danger or salvation. You step forward, slowly, each motion a negotiation between hope and fear. The trees thin. A clearing opens, and there it stands, an old mill house, its roof sloped and moss-covered, its windows shuttered against. The storm. Water turns the wheels slowly, groaning with age, spilling into a stream swollen by the rain. The lantern sways near the door, hanging from a hook, its glass cracked, its flame defiant. You approach, closer now. You smell smoke real. Smoke, wood smoke, a hearth, a chimney breathing warmth into the night. You knock, not hard, just enough silence, then the door opens. A woman stands there, wrapped in wool, her hair silver at the temples, her face drawn but calm. She does not flinch at your appearance. She looks at you the way one might look at a dog left in the rain, curious. Not afraid. She says nothing, only steps aside. You enter. The heat strikes you like a slap. Inside, the mill is simple. Wood walls, a low fire, a single cot, a bench, a hearth where broth simmers in a blackened pot. The scent curls into your nostrils, onion, root vegetables, maybe meat. Your stomach twists, she gestures to the bench. You sit. She takes a blanket thin but dry and lays it over your shoulders. Then a cup, warm, fragrant. You drink, it is broth, weak but warm. Salt and earth and something close to kindness. Still, she does not speak. After a time, she sets a small basin before you. You wash hands, face, wrists. Blood drips into the water, but she does not ask where it came from. You see her eyes flick to the cloth at your chest, the bundle of names, but she doesn't touch it. She brings a dry cloth. You wrap your feet. You whisper, finally, thank you. She nods, then softly, you're not the first. You meet her eyes. I've seen them, she continues, come from the trees, thin, trembling, eyes wide as candle flames. Some spoke, some didn't, I never asked. You swallow, she adds wood to the fire. The flame grows, shadows flicker. You can sleep here, she says. Just the night, I have bread in the morning. And away to the road. You nod, words feel too small. She leaves you then, returns to her chair, her knitting, the rhythm of a life that moves beneath storms and over silence. She asks no questions, demands no story. You curl on the cot, wrapped in the blanket, the cloth of names pressed to your chest. Outside, the lantern sways. Inside, the fire whispers. You close your eyes, and for the first time in countless nights, you sleep not in fear, but in peace. Morning comes without chains. It rises gently, without command, without boots stomping, stone or doors flung wide. You feel it first as warmth on your cheeks, sunlight drifting through a gap in the shutter. You blink. The world is still, quiet. The fire has burned low. The air smells of ash and broth, and something simpler. Bread baking. You sit up slowly. The blanket slips from your shoulders. Your skin remembers the cold of the dungeon, but your body is warm now. For a moment, you think you might still be dreaming, but then you see the cloth, still tucked to your chest, damp with sweat, speckled with mud, but intact. You unfold it with care, like sacred parchment. The names remain, faint but legible. You read them aloud, your voice a whisper. Elsie, Mathers, Bridget. The boy with the drum. Each one a bell rung softly in the woods. You add one more. You find a bit of charcoal near the hearth, used for marking wood. You dip it in water and press it gently to the fabric. Corwin, you pause before you write your own. But then, slowly, carefully, you do, not to be remembered, but to belong, to say, I was there, I walked through the dark. I carried the silence and did not let it consume me. The woman is gone when you step outside. No trace of her, no footprints, only the soft warmth of bread cooling on a wooden plate. Beside the door, you take it, break it, chew slowly. Every bite is a hymn. You walk through the forest, feet wrapped in fresh cloth, the sun spilling through the leaves like gold through broken glass. A path appears, not worn, but marked, by the gentle press of others who came before. The sound of the stream follows you for a while, like memory refusing to fade. You stop beneath a tree. Its trunk is thick, scarred with age, the bark gnarled like clenched fists. You kneel. You press the cloth against it, then carve gently with a stone. Not deep, just enough to leave a mark. You carve not your name, but theirs. Bridget, Corwin, Elsie, Dot, and then, beside it, a single line. We were not forgotten. You leave the cloth there, tucked into a hollow in the bark, wrapped tight like a prayer. You stand. Ahead lies the road, a future still blurred by uncertainty. But you carry something now, something more than a scar, more than a wound. You carry testimony. You are no longer the prisoner, the number, the shadow. You are the one who walked out. You are the one who remembers, and in remembering, you become a light for those still trapped in silence. As you step into the sun, the wind moves through the trees, and for a moment, you could almost swear you hear Bridget's song, not as a ghost, but as a guide, as the last breath leaves the walls of this forgotten place. May the names carried through silence echo in your heart. Thank you for walking this journey. If these voices moved you, I invite you to return, to remember, and to keep the flame alive. Subscribe to walk deeper into the quiet corners of history. As the last echoes fade from the stone walls of that forgotten place, may their stories linger with you, soft as dust, steady as breath. Thank you for walking this path through shadow and memory. Subscribe if you wish to return, and together we'll listen again to the quiet voices of the past. What part of this story stayed with you the most? Could you have endured the silence of a colonial dungeon? Would you have trusted Corwin, or tried to escape alone?